That island behind me is the equivalent of the center of the political universe right now. That's where, at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club, the president-elect is preparing to regain power, starting with who will be working for him. I have new reporting for you tonight on the all-out war that is already playing out between those vying for the top jobs in Donald Trump's cabinet and inside the West Wing. One person likened it to the Hunger Games, except it's playing out on the patio of Mar-a-Lago. Almost immediately after it became clear on Tuesday night that Donald Trump was on his way to re-election, phones started ringing and those wanting major roles started forming alliances while trying to kill off others who were also under consideration for jobs that they are trying to get. Last night, I was told that almost every table at Mar-a-Lago was filled, and many people who are hoping to get a job have been seen on the grounds of the club in recent days. Names like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Tom Barrack, and Trump's transition co-chairs, who are the ones right now that are fronting this whole selection process. Things are moving so quickly that several people have actually booked flights here to South Florida to ensure that they can get FaceTime with Trump in the coming days when many of these decisions are expected to be made. One of the biggest jobs, though, has already been filled tonight. Trump announced earlier that his campaign manager and co-chair, Susie Wiles, will become the first ever woman as the White House chief of staff. For those of you who aren't familiar, Susie Wiles was the one that Trump called to the mics during his victory speech in the early hours of Wednesday morning.
Susie and Chris, the job you did. Susie, come here. Come here, Susie. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back, let me tell you. The Ice Maiden. We call her the Ice Maiden. Thank you, Susie. Look at her. She's shot. I've never seen her be shot before. Susie.
She did not speak. She ended up calling her co-chair, Chris LaCivita, to the mic. But I'm told that by sources that Trump was urged to move quickly tonight in naming a chief of staff faster than he did in 2016. He named his chief of staff the following Sunday after he was elected because they argued that it allows for there to be a power center instead of having everyone call Trump directly as they are trying to get these jobs that I just told you about. Though, of course, we are talking about Donald Trump here. And as we know, he often likes to be right in the middle of the battle.
Zeleny, the choice of Susie Wiles to become the White House chief of staff. She's the campaign manager. She did very well, very impressive. What does it signal?
It signals that the president-elect is ready to get started, and he knows his way around the job this time around considerably more than 4 years ago. 4 years ago when he was, or 8 years ago, when he was being elected, he was coming from private business, from Trump Tower. Now he'll be coming into the Oval Office. He knows what he wants. He knows the people around him. And Susie Wiles is sort of a singular figure, I would say, in the former president's and president-elect's rise. I cannot think of a person who has had as much discipline. She has respect both inside and outside. She's someone who has not worked directly in Washington. She has a lot of long-standing Washington relationships at several firms in town, as Brian knows well, but she also has goodwill. But she will be the first female chief of staff. I think that is something that sends a message and a signal. But our Steve Contorno had some good reporting earlier. He said she had a couple demands, and one was this: the clown car can't come into the White House at will. And he agrees with her, a source close to the president-elect says. So that signifies that Susie Wiles is going to try and keep a level of discipline. And that she has some, her own explanation for that. She allows Trump to be Trump, but she also keeps some outsiders at bay. But the chief of staff is so important in setting the agenda and keeping things going. As we all know, it's just about 10 or 12 steps or so from the Oval Office. It has a corner office in the West Wing. It's important in terms of proximity and power.
History's greatest comeback. That's how the Israeli Prime Minister described Donald Trump's win, issuing a gushing congratulations just minutes after he declared victory. In his post, Benjamin Netanyahu said Trump's return offers a powerful recommitment to the great alliance between Israel and America. Ahead of the vote, though, Israeli opinion polls had overwhelmingly favoured a Trump presidency. The Biden administration, including Vice President Harris, is seen here as having sought to restrain Israel's military action in the aftermath of the October the 7th attacks. But Trump's presidency, on the other hand, is remembered for a series of pro-Israel moves, like the relocation of the US embassy to Jerusalem. And from a second Trump term, Israelis are hoping for even more full-throated support for its actions in Gaza, in Lebanon, and the wider region. Trump has said he wants to bring lasting peace, but across the Middle East, his election victory has been greeted with trepidation. A spokesperson for the Iranian state insisting that the Trump presidency will make no significant difference to them. But amid a spiralling confrontation with Israel, the possibility of even firmer US support for the Jewish state is likely to be a major concern for Tehran.
Chinese President Xi Jinping congratulated President-elect Trump in a phone call on Wednesday. Beijing says it wants peaceful coexistence with the U.S., but China is sure to be wary about a new Trump administration, given that Trump sparked trade wars with China during his first term in office and campaigned this year on a promise to impose tariffs that could have huge implications on trade between the world's two largest economies. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin did not immediately call Trump, even though in 2016, the Kremlin practically celebrated Trump's first election win. Trump has said he could end the Russian war in Ukraine in a single day, and his vice president-elect openly opposes sending U.S. aid to Ukraine. So Moscow will obviously be hoping for any chance of a reduction in U.S. support to the Ukrainian government. Ivan Watson, CNN, Hong Kong.
The magic wall, of course, you may have seen it. It was shining again in the election night spotlight.
Remember, you can always change some of the colors. You've got blue, blue again, a little bit of a red right over there, a little bit of blue. And, of course, if you want to make something out of green, we've got little face here, some whiskers. We can make a cat. Now let's take a little bit of Oregon. Let's move it out to the ocean. It's going to be surrounded by water. That's very, very dangerous. Check out Michigan. I can make it bounce.
You gotta love it. That old Saturday Night Live sketch got new life on election night because it went viral again online as the real Magic Wall pros got to work. And we just want to take a minute to salute our actual Magic Wall magicians, Phil Mattingly, John Berman, and of course, the legendary John King, who manned the wall throughout our election night and day coverage, breaking down the race like only CNN can.
So you asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.